Today hasn't really started out being a good day. Now, the interesting thing is I teach, preach, share insight, knowledge on being mindful about your ability to decide and be intentional about how you're going to actually live your day, right? What you're going to manifest today. Not in terms of materialistic things, but in terms of the texture of the day, right? The quality of the day. Like, how is the overall experience of your day? What does that look like? What is your intention behind that? It's interesting because last night I noticed that I wasn't sleeping that well. Had a lot of thoughts going on in my mind. And rarely, but sometimes, even I experience moments of like anxiety, a little bit of unease. I'm grateful that I have the skills to identify them, to acknowledge what it is that I'm feeling. And then I can go down the path of analyzing and figuring out what's going on with me so that way I can honestly get through it as fast as possible. Now, the thing is, usually the content and the format by which I share information with you is very, from almost like a teacher position, lecture style, where I'm just kind of giving you the format. And I noticed that, I could probably give more personal experience. And so today is one of those days where I was just like, I got to share this with you because can't get no personal than in the moment rather than me sharing an experience of something that happened. But, I'm saying to myself, you know what? I'm going through it right now and I'm processing it right now. Let me share that with you to give you some insights, because I think many people look at spiritual teachers and educators like we are at a point where we're beyond all these things. We're beyond the anxiety. We're beyond the, depression. We're beyond anger. We're beyond frustration, right? Impatience. We're not beyond it. It's just that most times we just have the skills to recognize it, analyze it, and eliminate it as quickly as possible. And in places where it isn't really seen of us, right? You don't get to see us going through that. Now, for me today, the day started out interesting because I woke up pretty early, about maybe 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Had some thoughts in my mind, and I have my ways of distracting myself from thinking too much while I'm sleeping. But that way didn't work today, right? Usually I put on maybe like a audio book or something to just keep my mind distracted. And it's usually something that I've heard over and over and over again 1,000 times in. So that way I'm not like actively listening, but it's there, right? It's there in the background. And it's not giving my conscious mind the space to analyze and think things through. That's what keeps us up at night most times. Now, that didn't work for me this morning, right? Put on my audio book or what have you and just couldn't go to sleep. So I said, okay, fine. Got up, did some work, had a little bit of time, decided to try to lay down again, was able to kind of doze off a little bit in and out, finally got up. And the morning started out, you have these like moments of like, all right, I'm going to take charge and I'm going to make sure I have a good day. I'm going to do this and this and this today, right? You kind of plan out your day based on what makes you feel good. And then sometimes those things get derailed, right? And that's also what happened today. So not only am I feeling a sense of like, ugh, but the things that are used to help me feel better are, in a sense, taken away. It feels like it's taken away, right? Because you got other responsibilities, other things that come up that takes priority, and you're like, okay, I got to do those things. So I'm at a point now, I'm halfway in the day. It's about 12 o'clock noon. And I'm definitely feeling better. right? Because I'm sitting with myself, I'm processing, I'm being mindful, I'm listening to certain things, listening to music, certain vibes. I'm thinking things through as far as what had me anxious this morning, right? What had me thinking and active in my mind this morning. And so what I want to share with you is, one, the fact that even us, I've been studying spirituality for over 30 years. I'm familiar with many practices on mindfulness, on how to, master peace and tranquility and all those things. But I don't want you to be mistaken that these experiences that I'm going through, that you go through, are unique. They are part of the human condition. They are part of what we are to experience here on earth, right? As a human being living in a human body, right? So I just want you to take from this the biggest part of moving forward from any feelings that you're having. They could be feelings that or thoughts that you kind of just make up in your head, where you're just kind of paranoid and you're just imagining various situations that will likely never happen. Or you could be in an actual situation where you're concerned about certain things, whether it be finances, bills, a business opportunity, a presentation, a relationship. The list goes on and on. And what I want you to understand, though, is the best way to get over those feelings is to recognize them, is to accept them, right? It isn't to fight them. It isn't to avoid. It's really to go through it, recognize it, own it, okay? Now, don't identify with it. This is not who you are. This is just what you are experiencing. And so sometimes you're at a place where everything is going to crap, bad things are happening left and right, but your spiritual essence is intact, right? And you can just kind of push through those things, no problem. There are times where everything is going perfect, but your spiritual essence is a little off balance and misaligned. And for some reason, you have an attitude that day. Then there are those days where everything is just misaligned and crazy and chaotic. The day is bad and you feel like your energy is off. Always recognize what it is that you're feeling. Always recognize that what you're feeling is not who you are. Okay? That will pull away from the power of the experience you're going through right now. When you do that, over time, who you are becomes a power or an experience that begins to take over again, right? Begins to take the lead of your day and your experience and your vibration and your frequency in that moment. So sometimes we think this moment where everything is chaotic and my energy is off, we forget that most of life isn't like that. This is only a single day, a single hour, a single moment. You still have the remainder of the day to experience it as you intended, to take the lead, right? Sometimes people think leadership looks like taking charge, being aggressive, giving orders, delegating, telling people what to do. But a lot of times leadership is simply allowing. Leadership is simply recognizing the individuals, right? The characters, the people, the emotions, recognizing them and just observing, witnessing, allowing, right? Allowing in the sense of you see it and you recognize what that part of you, right, is going through, thinking, feeling, And that's it. It's like the ultimate act of self-love, where you are going through something, you feel miserable, you feel tired, you feel frustrated, you feel angry, but you accept it. You recognize and basically live in a space or an attitude of saying it's okay. It's okay. It's like you're giving yourself an emotional hug and giving all those different aspects of you an emotional hug, where you just say, okay, it's okay for me to feel this way. When you do that, you'll be surprised. You begin to automatically, instantly diminish how much you actually feel that way. You see? So it's almost like when I talk about the ego, and I talk about the ego all the time. The ego is not your enemy. The ego is not the thing that you need to kill. It has a purpose. We all have one, right? So we all must recognize if we all have one, then there is something to it. And so when you think about the ego and recognizing that if you embrace, accept, and understand the ego, then the ego becomes an ally. It becomes a tool, because that's really what it's meant to be. And so that makes life, that makes how you look at and how you approach oneself completely holistic. You see, you look at yourself more as a complete picture rather than something with a missing void, right? When you think about going through days like this, same thing. You may not understand why you're having these emotions and feelings. You may not understand why the day is going this way, but there's something behind it. There's some inner force responsible for having these feelings, sharing them, expressing them out. Okay? You just have to ask the right questions. Okay, why am I feeling this way? What is this telling me about myself? What is this inviting me to do or to know or to realize? You see? So, for me, when I sit with that and I really recognize, okay, there are some things here that I need to address. There's some things that I need to look at, Like, for example, finances is a big thing for me these past few years. And I'm not in a position where I'm like struggling, but I'm in a position where I still want to create wealth. I want to create financial success. I want to make sure that my business, as it pertains to Dr. Abundant and all my books, are doing well and popular and helping people and all that stuff. And financially, I'm set. My family is set, So when I think about all of that, and taking what finances that I currently have and putting it toward growing that to make more money, right? Sometimes I have moments of like, I'm thinking. I'm hustling in my mind, hustling. And so there is a part of me that likes to be active, likes to keep it moving, right? That's also the part of me that can create the anxiety, the concern, the, feeling like, oh, am I doing this right? Is this happening fast enough? Things of that nature. So, and for me, it's a recognition today that as I analyzed myself and looked at my progress throughout the years, yes, great success in many levels, but there needs to be a shift in order for me to actually create the abundance that I want. And I have to acknowledge that, the interesting thing is, as we get into spirituality and we learn about manifestation, the true trick is learning how you do it, how you manifest, how you materialize things. Two people are not going to materialize things exactly the same. One person can just sit, put an intention out there, and move a certain way and everything will just fall on their lap. Another person, their way is more motion, grind kind of mentality. And they're okay with that. Like, both people are still okay with their way, but that's their way. You can't have somebody whose nature is to work and hustle, be more aggressive in nature. If that's their nature, you can't expect them to just sit, be mindful, put out the intention, and then just wait for opportunities to just fall on them. Their nature is more to go after those, actively create those opportunities, you see. So everybody, we're all different. And there are different lessons to be learned with that. And so you have to understand when you are setting in motion to achieve something and it's not going according to what you feel is right, like something's disconnected, something is like something I need to do different, right? That's the big thing. It's like you got to recognize that, okay, there's something I got to do different here. And so that's what is coming up for me now. It's like it's something I got to do differently. And, that's something that I'll be doing and implementing this year, is just being different in terms of being more assertive with sharing. I know I do my videos almost every day. And for a lot of people, that's very assertive. But, I want you to buy my books. I want you to participate. I want you to buy the journal, because I know that those things are going to make the most impact for you. And yes, they're also going to make impact in my finances as well, right? So there's that. And this is, again, a vulnerable space of really recognizing how the exchange, what I call the abundant exchange, takes place, as far as me providing you with something, you providing me with something. And I'm like, okay, if I'm providing you with something, then this is what I like, right? So, but then also being clear that for you, as you go through your days and you recognize, okay, you have this bad day, you understand that the bad day is just that, but it can also be something deeper, and that's okay. Go within, ask yourself the questions, what is this about? But more importantly, as you experience the bad day, you experience the quote-unquote negative emotions, the bad mood, you simply just say to yourself, it's okay. It's okay for you to feel this way. And all you do is you just go forward in your day in that state of mind of accepting yourself. And as you do that, every moment that comes during that day gets better, and better. You see? So that's essentially it. That's how you get through a bad day. You get through a bad day by acknowledging that it's okay to have a bad day. But you also must recognize that that bad day is not who you are. Okay? The bad day is just simply an experience. Who you are is absolute, beautiful, unadulterated consciousness, love, light, beauty. So take that and identify with that, rather than identifying with the bad day. Thank you so much. Feel free to go to drabundant.com, subscribe to my daily newsletter. If you do, you will now get the first chapter of my Future Self Frequency book, the actual deluxe transformation version edition. And you read through that book and you'll see how amazing this book is. And I recommend you get that book, and you also get the journal as well. Now, you don't have to get them both. You can get one or the other. Both are made to stand on their own. So, but anyway, I appreciate you listening. Hear me out as I'm just being vulnerable and transparent. And, take that with you and learn from it. Remember, you are not the bad day. Peace and abundance always.